Hey mamas, today we are talking about proper breast milk storage. So this is for the pumping mamas. And some of these tips I didn't actually know about until I started digging into this for you. So I personally didn't necessarily follow all of these tips, and it would have been nice to know. Although I did get away with not doing some of these. We'll get into it and I'll let you know which ones I didn't know and which ones I didn't necessarily follow. But this is proper breast milk storage. So room temperature. Breast milk can stay good at room temperature, which is considered 77 degrees Fahrenheit or colder, for 4 hours. So you're good for 4 hours. Now, best practice is that you express directly into the storage container. This is to eliminate the introduction of contaminants. However, it was really important to me to use glass. So I wanted to store in glass. I used glass bottles. So I did end up pumping directly into the plastic bottle that came with my pump because it was just the easiest. And then I poured that into my glass jar, which the jars I used, I have linked in the blog in the description of this video. But that's something that it makes sense that you would want to transfer it less, because not only do you increase your risk of contaminating that milk, but you also increase your risk of spilling it, which is the worst thing. It is, especially if you're having problems with supply. The phrase, "don't cry over spilled milk," does not apply to breast milk. So the next thing, as far as best practices for refrigerated or for room temperature milk, is to put it in the refrigerator or the freezer as soon as possible. If you know you're not going to use it right away, don't just let it sit because you know you have the 4 hours. Put it away as soon as possible because it eliminates the risk of bacteria growth. And this is the one thing that I didn't listen to. This next thing I'm going to say, I didn't listen to it. I may have heard it and was like, oh, that seems a little excessive. So I didn't follow this, and it seemed to be fine for me. However, best practice is don't put your just pumped warm milk, don't mix that in with cold milk already in the fridge. If you're going to combine two different batches of milk, they're supposed to both be at room temperature or at least the same temperature. And the idea here is that if you pour the warmer milk into the colder milk, then you increase your chances of that bacteria growing because you're warming up that colder milk. So that's what's going on there. So room temperature, 4 hours. Refrigerator, 4 days. So essential rules for in the refrigerator is make sure you label the date and time that you started pumping. So it is the time that you started pumping, not the time that you finished pumping. Not that it really makes a huge difference. That's just the way you're supposed to do it. So label the date and time of your milk so that you're using the oldest milk first. And you just know, I know some moms like to only give nighttime milk at night and morning milk in the morning kind of thing. And it's just good for you to know when you look in the fridge and see what you have. So label it. And especially because if you don't label the date, especially minimum label the date, because you're going to lose track of how long that milk has been in there. And then next, this is something I didn't know. Store the milk in the back of the main body of the fridge because this is where it is coldest and the temperature is the most stable. Do not store the milk in the door because when you're opening and closing the stuff in the door, that is where the temperature is fluctuating the most. So I didn't know that. I actually kept the milk mostly in like one of the middle drawers, so I wasn't like completely off. But good to know. I did not know that. So, and now you do. And then the last one is as far as like essential rules for storing breast milk in the fridge. It seems kind of obvious. I'm going to say it anyway. Keep it away from raw meat and eggs, just to avoid any sort of chance of cross-contamination. And so the last one is the freezer. So in the freezer, I was always told that it would last up to a year. However, I have now come to find out that 6 months is more the ideal time. Ideally, you use it within 6 months, but it does stay good up to a year. But it's better to use it closer to 6 months. So, something else, because I used the glass bottles, they say that you want the least amount of air in the packaging when you're putting the milk in the freezer to minimize your chance of freezer burn. I didn't really have this choice with my jars, so I did have air in there, and it did get freezer burned. And so and my baby could taste it. So what helped me in that situation is letting that thaw a little bit and then scraping like the top half inch or so, like scraping that top freezer burned layer off, and that helped. But my baby knows when that breast milk is frozen. He knows when it's coming from the freezer, and he doesn't really like it. But when I scrape off that top freezer burn part, he's much more likely to drink it. The next tip for like ideal freezer storage is to store in smaller portions so that you don't risk wasting milk once you like heat it up. And then never heat it up in the microwave. You will want to either like move it from the freezer to the refrigerator, or like something I had done is keeping it on the counter. I also saw that you can run it under cool water to kind of kickstart that thawing. And so you do not want to put that milk in the microwave, because first of all, microwaves absolutely destroy the nutrient content. It just they're awful. Do not put breast milk in the microwave. I actually don't even have a microwave in my house at all. If I'm going to heat something up, like food, I'll heat it in the oven. Breast milk, I have a designated bottle warmer. And then it's also good to use storage bags and containers specifically for breast milk. But like I said, I used the glass jars, which link for that is in the blog, in the description of this video. And like that works fine for us. There is that whole concept of like the freezer burn and stuff. So that's the downside. I don't really know how to eliminate that, those like that pocket of air in the jar other than storing in smaller jars. But most people don't do what I do. Most people don't use the glass jars. So that probably isn't a concern for you. So that is all for today. Tomorrow I'm going to go into a little bit more of breast milk storage, or like how long, like once you heat it up, can you heat it up again? And once you like heat, whatever. We're going to go into more intricacies tomorrow. But that's it for today. If you'd like to hear more from me, you can join my Facebook group. Let me see, where did this go? You can join my Facebook group to hear more from me. The link for that is in the description of this video as well. And thank you for watching. I will see you next time.